Mockery in the Sky, August 25th, 1943. Over the endless green quilt of the Ukrainian steppe, 20,000 feet above the front lines near Poltava. The morning air is thin and cold, vibrating with engine noise and distant artillery. Inside the cramped cockpit of a Messerschmitt Bf 109, Lieutenant Erich Hartmann tightens his grip on the control stick. Sweat beads inside his gloves despite the altitude. The canopy rattles as turbulence nudges the aircraft left, then right. Ahead of him, sunlight flashes off distant specks that are not clouds. They're Soviet fighters. Hartmann exhales slowly, the way he was taught by his mother when fear tried to climb into his chest. He does not rush. He never rushes. That is why, months earlier, men had laughed at him. During flight training at Zerbst, the instructors called him slow. Other cadets joked that he aimed like a civilian. Too careful, too close, too hesitant to fire. His gunnery scores were uneven. He let targets pass rather than spray bullets. One instructor told him bluntly that air combat demanded aggression, not patience. Hartmann listened, nodded, and kept flying the way his instincts told him to fly. Now, those instincts hum louder than the Daimler-Benz engine in front of him. Below, the Eastern Front stretches like a wound across the earth. Columns of smoke rise from burning villages. Far to the east, Soviet ground forces press forward, their aircraft swarming the sky in growing numbers. Hartmann's unit, Jägerschwader 52, is outnumbered again today. They almost always are. His radio crackles. The voice of a Rattenführer calls out contacts. Hartmann responds calmly, eyes fixed forward. He does not chase the first enemy he sees. He studies their formation, the slight wobble of a wing, the way one aircraft drifts just a fraction behind the others. That one will be tired, or damaged, or flown by a man who thinks he is safe. The Messerschmitt shudders as Hartmann eases back on the throttle. He lets the distance close slowly, invisibly. The wind whistles along the fuselage. He can now see the red star on the enemy aircraft. A Lavochkin fighter. Fast, rugged, deadly. The pilot has not seen him. Hartmann remembers the laughter in the briefing room months earlier. A fellow trainee had mimicked his careful firing style, pretending to squint and wait forever before pulling the trigger. Others had joined in. Hartmann had said nothing. He had simply gone back to the range, to the air, to learning exactly how close was close enough. 200 meters. Still too far. 100 meters. His heart rate stays low. His mouth is dry. The gun sight fills with the enemy fuselage. Hartmann waits until the aircraft ahead almost blocks his view of the horizon. Then he fires. A short burst. No waste. No panique. The Lavochkin erupts in smoke and flame, its engine tearing apart under the impact. The enemy aircraft snaps into a spin, falling away toward the ground. Hartmann pulls up sharply to avoid the debris, his aircraft screaming in protest. One kill. On the radio, there's a moment of stunned silence. Then a shout. Another German pilot has seen it. Hartmann does not celebrate. He is already scanning again, already searching for the next opening. Around him, the sky has become chaos. Tracers arc past. Aircraft dive and climb in violent spirals. Somewhere behind him, a comrade's engine coughs, then goes quiet. Hartmann feels fear now, sharp and real. He uses it. He lets it sharpen his focus rather than cloud it. He remembers something his commander, Major Walter Krupinski, once told him. Survive first. Kill second. A second Soviet fighter crosses his path, firing wildly at another German aircraft. Hartmann rolls hard, slipping in behind it. Again he waits. Again he closes the distance until he can see the rivets along the enemy wing. Another short burst. Another aircraft falls. Below, the ground rushes closer. Hartmann climbs, engine straining, the smell of cordite lingering in the cockpit. His hands shake for just a moment, then steady. 2 victories in minutes. Back at the airfield later that day, mechanics gather around his aircraft. Someone counts the markings on the fuselage and shakes his head. The men who once mocked his aim look at him differently now. Quietly, carefully. They do not laugh anymore. The method that should not work. September 7th, 1943. Forward airstrip near the Dnieper River. Dawn creeps across the field in pale gray light, revealing rows of scarred fighters and exhausted men moving through wet grass. Erich Hartmann sits on an ammunition crate, helmet resting beside him, listening to the distant rumble of artillery. The night had been short. The war does not allow long rest. Across the strip, other pilots talk in low voices. They speak of numbers, of Soviet aircraft appearing in waves, of losses, and of Hartmann. Not with laughter now, but with disbelief. The official report from the previous week has circulated through Jagerschwader 52. Hartmann's tally has climbed faster than anyone expected, not because he flies more sorties than others, but because he returns with results. Clean results. Few rounds fired. Few risks taken. Always close. Always controlled. To some, it still makes no sense. An older pilot approaches him, Hauptmann Adolf Dickfeld, his face lined from years in the air. He studies Hartmann for a moment before speaking. He asks him how he does it. Hartmann shrugs, uncomfortable with attention. He explains simply that he waits, that he refuses to shoot unless he knows the enemy cannot escape, that he does not believe in long-range heroics. Dickfeld listens, then nods slowly. He has buried too many friends who chase glory. The engines start up one by one, coughing and roaring into life. Hartmann climbs into his cockpit, straps himself in, and closes the canopy. The world narrows again to gauges, vibration, and sky. When a Messerschmitt lifts from the grass, the ground drops away like something he has left behind forever. They meet the enemy before noon. Soviet fighters fill the sky above the river crossings. Below them, trucks and pontoon bridges crawl with movement. The air is thick with smoke and flak bursts. Hartmann stays high, sunlight at his back. He does not dive immediately. He watches. Around him, others break formation and plunge downward, chasing targets. Hartmann resists the urge. He knows what happens when patience breaks. He has seen aircraft vanish in seconds, struck by enemies they never saw. A Yak fighter peels away from the main group, climbing hard after a German bomber. The pilot is aggressive, confident. Hartmann eases his nose downward, following from above, invisible against the glare. The distance closes. The engine note changes. The cockpit vibrates harder now. Hartmann feels the pull of gravity as he dives, the aircraft accelerating toward its limit. He does not fire. 50 meters. The Yak pilot finally notices him. The enemy aircraft jerks violently, trying to break away. Too late. Hartmann fires a single burst. The Yak shudders, then folds inward as its wing snaps free. The aircraft tumbles, pieces scattering like leaves. Hartmann pulls up sharply, heart hammering. His breath comes fast now. This one had been close. Too close. For a moment, he feels the thin edge between hunter and hunted. Another Soviet fighter flashes past his canopy, tracers ripping through the air. Hartmann rolls, dives, climbs. The sky is a spinning maze. He loses sight of his wingman. He fights alone. He hears gunfire, feels the aircraft shudder as something strikes the fuselage. Not critical. Not yet. He forces himself to slow down mentally, to ignore the chaos. Panic kills pilots faster than bullets. A second opportunity appears below him. Another enemy aircraft, damaged, trailing smoke. Others would dive recklessly, eager to finish it. Hartmann follows at a distance, careful not to overshoot. He waits until the enemy pilot is focused only on escape. Then he closes in. The kill is swift. When fuel runs low, Hartmann turns back west. His aircraft is scarred now, paint chipped, holes punched clean through metal. On landing, the ground crew gathers again. Someone slaps the side of the fuselage. Someone else counts. For more victories. In the briefing hut that evening, the atmosphere has changed. The jokes are gone. The instructors who once criticized him now ask questions. Some pilots try to imitate his method the next day. Many cannot. They fire too early. They close too fast. They lack the discipline to wait. Hartmann understands why. Waiting is harder than attacking. Waiting means trusting your judgment while everyone else is moving, shooting, dying. Word spreads beyond the unit. Other squadrons begin to talk about a pilot who refuses to fire until he can see the enemy pilot's face. Some admire him. Others think he is reckless in a different way. Soviet pilots begin to notice patterns too. Aircraft destroyed without warning. No long chases. No drawn-out fights. They do not know his name yet, but they are beginning to fear the way he hunts. The hunter becomes known. October 14th, 1943. Low clouds hang over the eastern horizon near Krivoy Rog, flattening the sky into a dull gray ceiling. The air is rough today, heavy with moisture and smoke. Erich Hartmann feels at the moment his wheels leave the ground. Visibility will be poor. Mist and shadow will hide dangers until the last second. This is when mistakes happen. Jagdgewehr 52 climbs into the murk, engines droning like distant thunder. Hartmann stays slightly above his formation, scanning constantly. He has learned that poor weather makes impatient pilots reckless. It also makes patient ones invisible. The radio traffic is frantic. Reports of Soviet aircraft everywhere. New types too. Faster. More heavily armed. The Red Air Force is learning, adapting, throwing experience and numbers into the sky. Hartmann understands that yesterday's habits can get him killed today. Through a tear in the cloud layer, he spots movement below. Several Soviet fighters escorting attack aircraft toward German ground positions. They fly tight, disciplined, their pilots alert. These are not novices. Hartmann resists the urge to dive immediately. Instead, he slides along the cloud edge, using it like cover. His aircraft becomes a shadow among shadows. He picks the outermost fighter, the one drifting just a fraction wide. His pulse slows. He drops from the cloud with the sun at his back. The enemy pilot never sees him. Hartmann closes to point-blank range, closer than ever before. He fires. The Soviet fighter disintegrates, fragments tearing away as if the aircraft has come apart midair. But this time, there is no clean escape. Tracers flash past his canopy. Another enemy pilot has seen the kill. Hartmann rolls hard, diving toward the clouds, the Messerschmitt shuddering as rounds punch through its wings. He feels the aircraft respond sluggishly. Damage. Not fatal. Not yet. Inside the cloud, the world becomes white noise. No horizon. No enemy. Only instruments and instinct. Hartmann keeps his hands light, flying by feel. He emerges seconds later, lower, faster, alive. His radio erupts with excited voices. Others have seen what happened. Another kill added. Another close call survived. On the ground that evening, the mood is tense. Losses have been heavy across the front. Even experienced pilots are not returning. Hartmann sits quietly as his commander reads out the day's results. When his name is mentioned, the room stills. His score has crossed the line now. Not just impressive, unsettling. Mechanics paint another small victory mark on his aircraft. The row is growing longer. Too long for comfort. Hartmann watches them work, feeling a strange weight settle over him. Every mark draws attention. Attention brings expectations. Expectations kill pilots just as surely as bullets. Across the lines, Soviet intelligence officers begin compiling reports. Pilots describe attacks that come without warning. Fighters destroyed by a single burst at impossible range. Survivors speak of a German pilot who waits until escape is no longer possible. They give him a name, Black Devil. Hartmann hears the rumor weeks later, secondhand, from another pilot who laughs as he repeats it. Hartmann does not laugh. Nicknames mean you're no longer anonymous. They mean the enemy is watching. The watching becomes evident during the next engagement. November 2nd, 1943. Overcast skies near Kiev. Hartmann dives on a Soviet fighter and fires. The aircraft smokes, but does not fall. As Hartmann pulls away, 3 enemy fighters converge on him at once. Coordinated. Intentional. They want him. Hartmann feels the trap closing. He dives, then climbs sharply, forcing one enemy to overshoot. He rolls, narrowly avoiding fire from another. His aircraft screams as it approaches its limits. The cockpit fills with the smell of fuel. For the first time in months, fear claws hard at his chest. He remembers his rule. Survive first. Hartmann stops hunting and starts escaping. He uses altitude, clouds, anything he can. One enemy fighter stays with him, relentless. Hartmann feigns a loss of control, letting his aircraft wobble, drop speed. The Soviet pilot closes in, confident. Too confident. At the last moment, Hartmann snaps his aircraft around and fires. The enemy explodes in flame, passing so close that debris rattles off his wings. Hartmann is shaking when he finally breaks contact and limps home. His aircraft is barely airworthy. The ground crew stares at the damage in silence. That night, alone in his bunk, Hartmann stares at the ceiling. The black devil, the kills, the close calls. He understands now that patience alone will not save him forever. The enemy is adapting, just as he did. Tomorrow, they will look for him again. And next time, waiting might not be enough. The cost of precision. December 20th, 1943. Snow covers the forward airfield near Berdichev, muting sound and movement alike. The world feels smaller in winter. Engines struggle in the cold. Metal contracts. Men speak less. Erich Hartmann walks across the frozen ground, boots crunching, breath hanging in the air like smoke. Every step reminds him that the war has entered a new phase. Slower, colder, deadlier. His reputation has arrived before him. New pilots stare openly now. Veterans measure him quietly. Commanders assign him difficult patrols without explanation. Soviet aircraft activity has intensified, and more than once, Hartmann has noticed enemy fighters abandoning engagements the moment he appears. Others do the opposite, charging straight toward him with reckless determination. Both reactions are dangerous. The morning briefing is short and tense. Intelligence reports suggest Soviet pilots are flying in tighter groups, baiting lone attackers, drawing them into layered defenses. Hartmann listens carefully. This is exactly the kind of trap patience alone cannot defeat. In the air, the sky is hard and brittle, the sun a pale disk behind thin cloud. Hartmann climbs with his unit, staying alert for anything that feels wrong. His engine vibrates unevenly, a reminder that replacements and repairs are rushed now. Nothing is perfect anymore. They encounter the enemy above a frozen river. Soviet fighters appear in staggered formations, disciplined and cautious. No easy stragglers. No obvious mistakes. Hartmann waits. Minutes stretch. Fuel burns. Fingers grow numb. The waiting itself becomes a test of nerve. Around him, other German pilots shift restlessly. One breaks formation and dives. He never comes back. Hartmann feels anger flash through him, sharp and useless. He forces it down. He scans again and spots something subtle. One Soviet aircraft climbing slightly slower than the rest, its engine producing a faint trail. Not damaged. Overloaded. Fuel heavy. Hartmann commits. He dives cleanly, closing the distance with brutal speed. The Soviet pilot reacts instantly, rolling hard and calling for help. Two escorts peel toward Hartmann. This is no ambush. This is deliberate counterhunting. Hartmann fires at point-blank range, shredding the target's engine, then brakes violently upward. Tracers rip past him. His aircraft shudders as a round punches through the fuselage behind his seat. Pain explodes in his leg. The Messerschmitt lurches. Hartmann grits his teeth, forcing the aircraft to respond. Blood pools inside his boot, warm even in the freezing cockpit. He fights the urge to black out, breathing carefully, focusing only on keeping the aircraft flying. Clouds save him again. He crashes through the cloud layer, losing the pursuing fighters in the chaos of white and gray. When he emerges, the ground is close. Too close. He limps west, every vibration sending pain through his body. The landing is violent. The aircraft skids, collapses, and finally stops in a spray of snow and metal. Ground crew rush toward him, pulling him from the cockpit as he fades in and out of consciousness. In the field hospital, Hartmann lies staring at canvas and wooden beams. His leg is bandaged heavily. The doctor tells him he is lucky. Another inch and the bullet would have ended everything. While he recovers, the war continues without him. Losses mount. Pilots he knows do not return. The tally on his aircraft remains unfinished, frozen in time. When he finally returns to flying weeks later, thinner and quieter, he senses something has changed. Not just in the enemy, but in himself. The fear is sharper now, more honest. He understands that his method demands perfection every time. One mistake is enough. On his first sortie back, Soviet fighters test him immediately. They probe, feint, retreat. Hartmann refuses to chase. He breaks off engagements others would pursue. Some call it caution. Others whisper that the Black Devil has learned fear. Hartmann does not care what they call it. He scores again before the end of the day. Then again the next. Clean kills. Close range. Controlled. But each victory feels heavier than the last. The patience that once protected him now exacts a price. Every second of waiting stretches his nerves tighter. Every engagement feels like standing on a knife edge. He is still winning, but the margin is shrinking. When the mockery ends, February 19th, 1944. Clear sky over the southern Ukraine front, the sun sharp and blinding against fresh snow below. The air is deceptively calm. Perfect flying weather, the kind that gives men confidence and then takes it away. Erich Hartmann climbs steadily, his Messerschmitt responding smoothly beneath him. His leg still aches in the cold, a dull reminder of how close the war has come to ending his story. He ignores it. Pain is familiar now. So is the weight of expectation. His victory count has reached a number no one expected when they laughed at his aim. Mechanics no longer joke when they paint new markings on his aircraft. They work silently, carefully, as if acknowledging something fragile. Commanders watch him with a mix of pride and unease. Soviet pilots know him by reputation alone. Today, the radio traffic is sparse at first, then explodes. Multiple enemy formations inbound. Hartmann's unit climbs to intercept. Below them, the Soviet fighters spread out, disciplined and alert. No querles paídes. No habías pra. Hartmann studies them, searching for the smallest error. The second stretch. Fuel ticks down. The old urge to force the fight rises, and he pushes it away. Then he sees it. One aircraft slightly out of alignment. A young pilot, perhaps, holding formation too rigidly, unable to adjust smoothly. Hartmann moves with him, not toward him, matching speed and altitude until the distance melts away unnoticed. 50 meters. Hartmann fires once. The Soviet fighter disintegrates instantly. The reaction is immediate. Enemy aircraft converge, firing from multiple angles. This is no coincidence. They expected him. Hartmann dives hard, the aircraft howling, snow and earth spinning below. Tracers flash past his canopy. He feels the aircraft shudder as rounds strike metal. He does not chase. He does not turn back. He disappears in altitude and sunlight, breaking contact the moment survival demands it. Back at the airfield, the confirmation comes quietly. Another victory, another mark. His total now stands far beyond what anyone imagined possible for a pilot who refused to fire unless the shot was certain. The men who once mocked him gather nearby, listening as others recount the engagement. No one laughs. No one questions his method anymore. Some try to adopt it. Few succeed. Hartmann knows why. Patience is not passive. It is exhausting. It means absorbing fear, doubt, and pressure without release. It means watching others fall while you wait for the one moment that matters. It means accepting that survival is the first victory. As the war grinds on, Hartmann continues to fly. His tally climbs into territory that shocks both allies and enemies. Soviet orders circulate warning pilots to avoid lone German fighters who refuse long engagements. His nickname follows him everywhere, spoken with fear rather than bravado. Yet on the ground, away from the sky, Hartmann remains reserved. He avoids celebration. He knows numbers do not make a pilot invincible. Only discipline keeps him alive. Long after the laughter has faded, long after his aim has been proven beyond doubt, Hartmann straps himself in for another sortie. The canopy closes. The engine roars. The sky waits. Somewhere ahead, another pilot believes distance will keep him safe. And somewhere behind, the memory of mockery has been replaced by something far heavier. Respect.